Join us on an astral adventure as we travel aboard the International Space Station, witnessing the breathtaking diversity of our planet. This imaginative journey begins over the Mediterranean Basin, where deep turquoise seas meet sun-drenched golden coasts steeped in history. The journey continues across the Atlantic to the American Heartland. Watch as the Mississippi River snakes through a vibrant patchwork of farmland before the horizon gives way to the snow-capped majesty of the Rocky Mountains. Experience the seamless transition of Earth's landscapes from 250 miles above. In this episode, the Mediterranean, ancient coastlines and crystal clear waters, the Mississippi, the winding lifeline of the American Midwest, the Rockies, high-altitude views of America's most iconic range. If you love cinematic space journeys, please like, subscribe, and tell us which part of Earth you want to see next in the comments. The International Space Station, ISS, is currently in a historic era of transition, serving as a vital bridge between decades of international cooperation and the dawn of commercial space exploration. Current ISS missions and crew. As of April 2026, the station is operating with a standard crew complement of 7 astronauts. Expedition 7475. The current expedition includes crew members from SpaceX Crew 12, which launched on February 13, 2026. Crew members. The current station inhabitants include NASA astronauts Jessica Meir, Commander, and Jack Hathaway, ESA astronaut Sophie Adenaught, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev. Artemis II milestone. In early April 2026, the ISS crew witnessed the historic Artemis II launch and participated in the first ship-to-ship call with astronauts on a deep space mission as they traveled around the moon. The future of the ISS. The ISS is approaching the final years of its operational life, with a planned retirement slated for 2030-2031. Deorbit plan. NASA has awarded a contract to SpaceX to develop a specialized U.S. deorbit vehicle. This craft will guide the station into a controlled re-entry, where it will safely burn up and splash down in Point Nemo, the spacecraft cemetery in the remote Pacific Ocean. Commercial successors. Private companies like Axiom Space, Blue Origin, and Vast are already developing commercial space stations to ensure there is no gap in a human presence in low Earth orbit. New discoveries in our universe. While the ISS monitors Earth, other missions are pushing deeper into the cosmos. Nancy Grace Roman Telescope, scheduled to launch later in 2026, this infrared observatory will study dark energy and dark matter, mapping the universe on unprecedented scales. Interstellar visitor. Scientists are currently studying 3I Atlas, the third ever interstellar comet discovered passing through our solar system, which may be nearly 12 billion years old. Galaxy evolution. Recent findings from the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, have revealed dusty, star-forming galaxies that existed only a billion years after the Big Bang, helping scientists understand the missing links in how galaxies evolve. 2026 is a premier year for sky watchers, highlighted by a rare total solar eclipse and ideal conditions for major meteor showers. Here's your calendar of the most anticipated stargazing events for the remainder of the year. Major eclipses. Total solar eclipse, August 12. This is the year's headline event. The path of totality will sweep across Greenland, Iceland, and northern Spain, turning day into night for about 2 minutes. A partial eclipse will be visible in the northeastern U.S. and most of Europe. Deep partial lunar eclipse, August 27-28. Just 2 weeks after the solar eclipse, nearly 96% of the moon will be covered by Earth's shadow. It will take on a coppery red blood moon hue and be visible across North and South America, Europe, and Africa. Meteor shower highlights. Perseids, August 12-13. This shower peaks just hours after the total solar eclipse. Because the eclipse happens during a new moon, the night sky will be perfectly dark, offering ideal conditions to see up to 100 meteors per hour. Orionids, October 21st, 22. Formed by debris from Halley's Comet, this shower features very fast meteors. While the moon will be bright this year, you can still catch bright streaks after midnight. Geminids, December 13th to 14. Often the strongest shower of the year, it can produce up to 120 multicolored meteors per hour. In 2026, a thin crescent moon will set early, leaving dark skies for the peak. Planetary oppositions and conjunctions. Venus-Jupiter conjunction, June 8th and 9. The two brightest planets will appear side by side in the western sky after sunset, separated by only 1.5 degrees. Saturn at opposition, October 4th. The ringed planet will be at its biggest and brightest, visible all night long. This is the best time for telescope viewing as its rings are tilted favorably at 7.5 degrees. Mars and Jupiter pairing November 14th, 16. These two planets will appear within 1 degree of each other in the pre-dawn sky, easily visible together through binoculars. 2026 lunar spectacles. Blue moon, May 31. The second full moon in a single calendar month. Christmas supermoon, December 23rd, 24. The year ends with the closest and brightest full moon since 2019, rising just in time for Christmas Eve. Notable star parties. If you want to view these events with fellow enthusiasts, several major festivals are scheduled. Almost Heaven Star Party, August 10th, 16 in Spruce Knob Mountain, WV. Texas Star Party, Prude Ranch in the Davis Mountains, TBA 2026. Grand Canyon Star Party, Grand Canyon National Park, AZ, TBA 2026. In a major strategic shift announced on March 24, 2026, NASA is pausing the development of the Lunar Gateway space station in its current form to prioritize building a permanent base on the moon's surface. The new priority, Artemis Base Camp. NASA is redirecting approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years to establish a sustained human presence directly on the lunar surface. Location: the base will be constructed near the lunar South Pole, a region prioritized for its potential water ice resources. Repurposed hardware. Much of the technology and modules originally intended for the Gateway, including the Halo module, are being reassessed for potential use as surface infrastructure. Timeline. While a formal date is in flux, NASA aims to begin actual surface construction during the Artemis 5 mission, currently targeted for late 2028. Status of the Lunar Gateway. Although currently sidelined as the centerpiece of the Artemis program, the Gateway may still be realized in a modified form later in the decade. Original purpose: it was designed as a 125 cubic meter station in a near rectilinear halo orbit, NRHO, to serve as a transfer hub between the Orion spacecraft and lunar landers. International commitments. Partners like the European Space Agency, ESA, and JAXA remain committed to the program, though they are currently negotiating how their contributions, like the lunar IHAB, will fit into the revised surface-first strategy. Upcoming Artemis milestones. Following the successful Artemis 2 lunar flyby in April 2026, the updated mission path is Artemis 3rd, mid-2027. A crude test of docking procedures with lunar landers in Earth orbit. Artemis IV, early 2028, targeted as the mission for the first crewed lunar landing since 1972. Artemis V, late 2028, second crewed landing and the formal start of moon base assembly. As of April 2026, NASA is moving forward with 2 distinct private lunar landers that will play critical roles in establishing the Artemis Base Camp. In a significant policy shift this year, NASA has turned the program into a straight race between the 2 providers to see which vehicle can land on the moon first. Lander comparison: SpaceX versus Blue Origin feature. SpaceX Starship HLS Blue Origin Blue Moon Mk2 height 50 plus meters, 15 stories, 15 to 16 meters capacity, 200 plus metric tons to surface, 20-30 metric tons to surface. Crew support up to 100 people, potential 4 astronauts for 30 days, refueling 15 Starship tanker flights in LEO refueled in lunar orbit by cislunar transporter. Primary launch SpaceX Super Heavy Blue Origin New Glenn 1 SpaceX Starship HLS, the massive outpost. Strategy: Starship is significantly larger than any previous lander, designed not just for landing but as a vertical habitat. Current status: April 2026. SpaceX is currently focusing on cryogenic propellant transfer, the process of refueling the lander in Earth orbit, which is expected to be demonstrated later this year. Revised role: originally the sole lander for the first missions, Starship's development delays led NASA to reopen competition, making it one of 2 options for the first crewed landing in 2028. 2. Blue Origin Blue Moon Mark II, the sustainable transit. Strategy: Blue Moon Mk2 uses a more traditional, smaller design focused on high-efficiency liquid hydrogen-oxygen engines. It utilizes a cislunar transporter tug built by Lockheed Martin to move between orbits. Accelerated timeline: following NASA's overhaul in February 2026, Blue Origin shifted resources away from other projects like New Shepard to accelerate Blue Moon to potentially meet the 2028 landing date. Demo flight, an uncrewed cargo version, Mark I, is scheduled to attempt its first lunar landing later in 2026 to test the BE-7 engine and landing gear. Current mission roadmap, updated April 2026, Artemis 3, mid-2027, a docking duel in Earth orbit where the Orion capsule will practice rendezvous with both landers to verify their flight readiness. Artemis 4, early 2028, the first crewed landing mission. NASA will select whichever lander, Starship or Blue Moon, proves safest and most ready during the 2027 tests. Artemis 5, late 2028, focused on delivering the first heavy infrastructure for the surface base. As of April